Tamika. We're here today. It's Tuesday the 15th. We've got our first visit down here to our Pukekohe office at the Pasifika Digital Knowledge Bank here on level 2, 7 Hall Street, Pukekohe. I guess this is just a talanoa kōrero, but perhaps just for those who may be interested, the reason why I've joined the team and the reason why this particular role stood out for me was because it spoke to me in a sense that everything about what it's trying to do is something that I have been trying to do here for my Māori and Pasifika community in South Auckland, and in particular here in the Franklin community. So that really interested me, especially more recently, the work I've done developing a program for entrepreneurship for our seniors, so those 50 and over. And that particular project came about as a result of our own co-creation. It's an evolution of a couple of years of working with that particular community. But that's why when I saw the job advertised, I looked at it, I read it, and basically all it done was just put a structure into everything that me and, my friend Will, who's also one of our collaborators in establishing and launching this space. It's everything that we've been talking about, but we just didn't have the time to actually put it together on paper. But it looked really flash and it spoke to me. It hit me really hard. So I suppose from me, my point of view, can you explain how this co-create age group came to be?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Ray. And it's fantastic to be here with you in this place, your place that you've built. And when we saw your application, we thought, wow, this guy's actually doing it. And we're still early. This is our first year of 5 years of funding from the University of Auckland, which is wonderful, going after 7 new university research centres, going after grand challenges in society. Our one is around an ageing population. There are more people who will be older. But you've heard this morning that we're political. You know, the members of the team are political. We want better for people, all people, but particularly for older people. And we believe in our method of co-creation that everyone knows what they need in their community. It's a matter of coming together and working together and being purposeful around the priorities and the ideas and the energy with human spirit and energy and ideas and smarts and connections. If we can come together, then we can make the world a better place, for us and everyone around us and Mother Earth, actually. So as manager of the Centre for Co-Created Ageing Research, I own that political stance. And I've deliberately chosen to be in the centre. I didn't necessarily choose to be with a university because it's a big edifice, but I really believe in people being part of the university. So I think I got the job, and I've been in it for 3 months because I'm from community in Nelson off the family farm and have been looking after my dad and then my mum, so I got lots of whānau experiences of not only the health system, but the funding, like how do you go into care and how do you keep your land and go into care? But right now, we have this wonderful opportunity of 5 years of stable funding to get research going with communities. So self-identified research topics. What is it that will make the difference? So this morning already I'm hearing access to information, access to the people that have information, and also the confidence and the sense of peace to ask about funding and to not take that as any kind of comment on pride. So how do you see your way through that? Now, that's something that in a collaborative way is co-created. The people in the room this morning, us from the centre, you as our guide and connector, really, Ray, we could do a research piece around that. So we do a pilot, we figure out all sorts of things, and then we go after the big money, the big funding. So it's transdisciplinary. That's the aim of the 7 university research centres, and that means community knowledge. And for us, particularly in this centre, and that means what is it that the community wants to research.
Nice. And so you got co-creation. Now, in the past, I've heard a lot of initiatives that focus on the word collaboration. What is the difference between co-creation from you as a leader of our co-create age group?
Quite a high bar and a political bar. And as Professor Vanessa Burholt said this morning, and she's our expert in our method of co-creation, it is having older people themselves, or whānau, because we may be intergenerational topics, involved in every stage of the research. Now, the reason why that's important is that we leave behind capability. It's a learning journey. And that will stay in community, and it will spread through community, and we'll be off back in the university or doing other things, but it will stay. That learning, that ability to attract funding, that ability to formulate a research question, to understand what research is. As I said in my introduction, my mum would have been a fantastic researcher, smart, interested, political, feminist, and she would formulate the research question. She would do the field work, like Ness said, do the analysis, share the findings. So she would go to the Office for Seniors, for instance, and say, this is the work that we've done, this is the pilot we've done, it's a much bigger issue, we need much more funding, where can we go together from here? So that real skill and confidence and mana that it is worthwhile work, that it is work. It's not just having a chat, because where are our understandings around research? As Ness says, about impact that makes a difference. Now, that's a conversation that's not easy. We don't have a shared understanding of that. That's something the centre wants to build with communities, because those many repeated conversations, that's how we learn and go, oh, that's right, research, and it's, so that's what's so exciting for me, imagining people like my mum will be trained by us initially as researchers, and people like my mum will train other people as researchers. So it's that's part of our sustainability on the learning side, and you are here to help us be sustainable financially.
and it's interesting because, again, that was another sort of incentive or an attraction that linked me to the actual job itself, because as you would have picked up, and you've already raised earlier on some of the themes that came through: access to information, access to people with the information. How do these differ, if any, to some of the body of information that you already have from themes of any other communities that you've had the privilege of researching?
Well, step back a bit. My partner's an economist, and I'm not entirely opposed to free market. We've talked a lot about business, and talked to some of your people over lunch about being self-employed, and that's great, but you need a lot of information now. To have a good ethical free market and the theory of it, there needs to be freedom of information. But information is almost the biggest barrier to being self-employed, which is a wonderful shape, and New Zealand is a good country, I believe, for being self-employed. But but you've got to have information. You've got to be connected. So I think that's it's a common theme, and it comes from lots of different places. I'm interested in information because it's so empowering, because you can push back when someone says, no, it's not like that, it's like this. And you can quietly say, actually, in my experience, when I went into such and such, this was what I found. So it's very stabilising to have information. So, you know, we would work together to develop that into a research question. It's almost too big, and yet it's perennial. It's always coming up. It's what's your biggest challenge? I asked one of your people what was the biggest help that Ray provided. It was around marketing. It was about getting the information out about their business. So, and someone else said this morning, you know, being online, you're marketing specialist guy. Being online is amazing, where you don't get wet when you have to go to the market, was one thing he said. But, you know, access to information through the internet, you know, it's mind-blowing. So, yeah.
And so, obviously, today is one of the first, if not the first, community visit that our team has had. Correct me if I'm wrong, but what are you hoping to get out of today's visit to our community here in Pukekohe?
Well, in our first year, and we work within this calendar year as our financial year too, so 2023, and time marches on fast, I'm looking for potential topics to seed fund. Okay. So we do have small amounts of $10,000 each. Per topic to develop a research proposal that would be a much bigger scale. So it's potentially a pilot. So that's the structure of it. And I'm looking to listen for the ideas that have potential to carry forward. Now, elements of the ideas that needs to really spark people's tenacity, because, as we discussed before, we won't always be 100% effective in receiving funding, but if we can pour all our passion into it and get a really good proposal, ideally with a pilot done, then we've got a good chance of attracting much bigger funding for much bigger, broader research. So I'm after a research team, really, research development group, we call it. No reason why we can't operate in Pukekohe with your care in this amazing place that you've developed, because we don't have a place yet. We've sort of got a few desks, you've seen it, and we're needing to develop a collaborative space. But you're so far along. I think the potential for partnership around a research proposal that will really make a difference in your community, that's what excites me about today.
And that's what's been exciting about the whole journey as an entrepreneur. I think we joked earlier on with my brother here when I told my siblings that I got this job at the Auckland Uni, and we laughed and they said, "Oh, now you can tell them that you attended a uni." when our whānau used to clean the Auckland Uni, now I'm part of not just another number, I'm a co-creator on here as an extension of our co-create rōpū, to try and do bigger, better things that can accelerate better outcomes for our communities to thrive. As I always say, we all came to Aotearoa, New Zealand to thrive, not to barely survive. So I think the timing of our space celebrating its first year and the birth of Co-Creator to where it's at now, and being Rachel and I have been privileged to be a part of it. I think it's exciting times, and we look forward to try and attract some of the funding so that we can create those initiatives and projects and pilot them and attract more sustainable funding, not just for the centre itself, but how it can leverage and support some of our own communities and their own projects with their churches, with their maraes, with their community organisations. I see it as a huge opportunity, and we're in a privileged space. It's exciting times for me anyway, and my team, as you can see. There were a little bit of nerves as to what it's all about, because when you talk about research, it's something that perhaps we're not quite accustomed to as a community. That's going about their way, just trying to provide food on the table. But I think seeing the bigger picture and getting the background of how our co-creator age organisation came to be, and obviously, some of the networking opportunities that we had, hopefully anyway, has kind of calmed some of those nerves, and as you see, they're talking and asking questions, which is a great phase to be on this journey. But just to conclude, because we are still looking and trying to recruit some co-creators, what is your pānui out to our community?
Well, it's just me. And I'm off the farm in Nelson, and, I'm from community. I'm the first one in my family to go to university. So I must remind you that there are scholarships. We have 2 scholarships a year for PhDs, which is a really high bar, but we're looking at different pathways. But Ray now has a foot in the University of Auckland. He is a member of the University of Auckland. So you can talk to Ray about what we like to be around. That there are lots of ways that you could be involved. And if you want to be involved in a small way initially, and then think about maybe becoming a researcher in year 2, 3, 4, 5, because we're quite stable. But just come and have a look at us. You could visit. We've got events coming up. You can call me, or I can call you. And we can have a Zoom, whatever you got, and we can talk that through. And I want to talk to people one-on-one about where they're at, what their aspirations are and how they might take up an opportunity to be part of the University of Auckland, because it's a big deal, Education, massive deal. But to learn about research, the opportunity to learn about research, and to be an older researcher, because that's my ambition, is I'll do this job because I really believe in the centre. I'll run it and manage it. But when I've done with this and it's stable and someone else wants to take on my role, then I will be an older researcher. So we could be colleagues.
Thank you. That's Dr. Tamika, and she's our lead, one of our directors, and all the information will be available, including emails on any inquiries of those who want to be part of our co-creator team or register as a co-creator. We'll also have information on our upcoming events. We got our first event in September,
19th of October. We think it'll be in Epsom. We're going to conference, New Zealand Association of Gerontology conference in September, might be what you're thinking about, Ray. Yep. And we're taking some members of community with us, sponsoring us to look into research. I'm presenting, wish me luck, Aged Care in a Changing World with Professor Nairi Kurse, who's a really impressive person, but a really warm person. So, lots coming up, but just ask Ray if you want me to call you. Always happy to talk and take it from there.
Awesome. Dr. Tamika, thank you very much. It's a privilege working with you, and exciting to host you guys here down at our offices in Pukekohe today. And that's a wrap from us. Ka